Hey everybody, this is Kid making a video at 11 o'clock at night. So this has been fun, and hopefully this will be a blessing for you whenever you listen to it, whether it's at 12 o'clock at night or 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I am in week 5 of staying home from work, and I'm finally seeing the end in sight. My wife and I have been able to get a lot of stuff done around the house, and which has felt good. But I know, like many of you, you're ready to go back to work, ready to get back to the usual stuff. And I just wanted to bring to you something that was on my heart the past couple weeks. A message and a short and a little nugget of a message that I did a few years back. I've done this message a few times, so if you've listened to this, you probably have heard these principles from the book of Joshua, but hopefully these hit you in a different way, especially during this time. A few years back, I was invited to speak at the Central Baptist Associational meeting. They have this meeting every year, and this year I was blessed and honored to bring this message to them. And as I was developing it, I had just got done reading the book of Joshua personally. And through that, I got some amazing insights. And through that, I was able to formulate a sermon with some principles that I feel really should encourage a leader. Now, for those of you who are listening who might be wondering, am I a leader? John Maxwell, he is a writer of leadership books. He is director of many conferences. He actually has an agency that builds leaders. So he knows a thing or two about leadership, right? So here's the thing. He says leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. So your question might be, am I a leader? It is. The answer will be yes. You have influence, whether it's at home as a stay at home mom or as a stay at home dad, if that's an option that you have, or it's in your work, whether you're the top dog or you're the little dog, or if you're in your church, whether you're the pastor of the church or you're the member or even just a guest in your church. Any influence you have makes you a leader. And there's been this understanding in our culture today that leader is by position. That's not true. So, in a sense, these principles are for everybody. So, so let's get to it. First one is in Joshua 1, verse 8. Well, actually, verse 9. Joshua is told to be strong and courageous. And he's told this by God. And then at the end of the chapter, he's also told that by the people. Now, if you look back on Deuteronomy, when Moses is talking to him, Moses is telling Joshua the same thing. So apparently, we could make come to an understanding that Joshua might have struggled with this principle a little bit or was hesitant as a leader. As a leader, we cannot be hesitant. We have to be bold. Boldness has to be one of the big things of being a leader. Um, that doesn't mean you're always right in your decisions. That means we have to be bold in making those decisions. In the church world, we have to be bold about our faith. You know, it's a hard time because there's no sports going on. But I'm loving seeing the response of people saying, no, I'll even watch the two worst teams in the NFL play each other. And here's the thing about these worst teams in the NFL, they have some of the best die-hard fans ever. I know somebody, unfortunately, who is a Raiders fan. If he's watching, he knows who he is, Jake. They are passionate about their team, regardless of how good their team is. I also know people who are Patriots fans whose team has been very successful recently for the past 20 years. Very bold about their team. Me, I'm a Broncos fan. I'm bold about my team. We are bold about these things because we're passionate about them. We need to bring the same passion in talking about God and talking about leadership and leading people. We need to have the same drive, the same gusto, for lack of a better word, to bring this to people. We cannot hope to reach our communities by being shy and being scared. We just cannot do that. We have to be bold in reaching these people. And if you look through the story of Joshua, Joshua became very bold. As we'll see it towards the end of this time, he was very bold. And as he stood up and made an amazing proclamation that still needs to be proclaimed today. So after that, we go to Joshua 6 and 7. This is the story of Jericho, followed by another story that we don't hear about in Sunday school or Awanas or whatever kids program your church does. We hear about the Battle of Ai. And here we see a very key principle in leadership and in life in general: obedience. Obedience is the second principle that we see through the book of Joshua. As you look through, we see many times that Joshua obeyed God and the people obeyed God. We saw it happen in Exodus and Deuteronomy. People didn't obey God. And this is another example. See, there's two sides of obedience. You either obey or you don't. There's no halfway with obedience and disobedience. You either do it or you don't. And there's two sides of it. And there are two sides without the story. Jericho, they were obedient, resulted in victory. They conquered, they walked around the city in an amazing strategy, I guess. And it worked. And got the walls torn down, and they have a great success. Then they go to this next town called Ai, which, if you're from southwest Kansas, is like Deerfield or even Lakin. I mean, small compared to Garden City, Dodge City, Liberal, okay? So this is a small town. They cleaned Israel's clock. Immediately, Joshua's, God, why did you bring us here to only to be beat up and lose? And God said, you got sin in your camp, Josh. You got to deal with it. And he did. He dealt with it in a very aggressive way. Found the guy, his name was Achan. Found he had took some stuff they wasn't supposed to take from Jericho. They killed him. And not just killed him, they killed anything associated with him. Then they go and try again to beat Ai, and they wipe him out. I mean, there's no contest. See, when a leader obeys God's commands and the people follow the leader, amazing and unbelievable things will happen. Amazing and wonderful things will happen if you obey. And this obedience can be a small thing or it can be a big thing. Okay? You just have to obey. And know that this obedience is for your protection, not because God doesn't love you, because God doesn't want you to have any fun at all. He wants you to be safe. Same way a father tells his son, don't touch that log in that fire pit, it's hot. That wonderful fourth grader grabbed it and it was hot. It was hot, hot, hot. And I did that. In case you're trying to figure out who would do that, I did. Okay, I was fourth grade, I was stupid. But my dad, he didn't scream at me. He didn't yell at me, say you're stupid, why'd you do that? I mean, he might have said why'd you do that, but more of it in a laugh. Took me home and allowed mom to take care of me. The same way, when we obey God, we're protected, but when we disobey God, He's always there to bring us in. So don't mess with sin. Don't mess with it. The third one is invest. If we look in Joshua 23, specifically verse 6, we see Joshua is telling these leaders to tell their people to do these things. He is encouraging this investing in people. And no, when you heard invest, no, this is not a financial video. No, you don't want me to do financial advice. It's just not going to work. But I can tell you the importance of investing in people. It impacts them in an amazing, marvelous way. You don't know the impact you're going to have. I have many men and women in my life who have impacted me immensely. If you're watching this video, you have impacted me. You have brought me to this point in my life. And I thank you for that because you took the time to invest in me. Just name a few: my dad, Ken Bowden Sr., Keith Bryant, Micah Sanderson, Andy Addis, Brian Wilson recently, Chris Payne. I mean, I could go on all night, y'all, about these men who have impacted me. Women, my mom, my aunts, my sister, my grandmas, my great grandmas. They have invested in me in an amazing way, loving me, showing me how to be as a man, as a godly man. We have to invest in people. If this time in our culture can teach us anything, it's the importance of people, the importance of connections with people. And so we have to invest in them. We have to grow people up. And that starts with us having this mindset of I do, you watch. Let me show you how to do it. And then go, I do, you help. You help me do it. You help me figure it out. You do, then I help. You do, and I watch. See how it kind of flips. You kind of say, okay, you're going to do it, and I'll help you. Okay, I'll watch. Then you do, someone else watches. And I'm going to add, when someone else watches, you who are initially investing in them, you are celebrating that. Is any time someone is teaching someone else something, that's a moment to celebrate. We have to invest in people, and it starts as simple as, let me show you how to do this, and let's see how this goes. And so, invest in people. The last thing, and this is the one, this is the verse I was alluding to the first. It's Joshua 24:14 through 15. Summing up, Joshua says, you choose this day who you're going to serve. He's talking to Israel. His last moments, he's figuring out, my time's almost done. What's the last thing I want them to know? What's the last thing I want them to teach? I want to teach them. He says, you will choose who you're going to serve. You're going to choose somebody. You're going to choose something. And what does he say? But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. We're going to serve God. We're not going to serve ourselves. We're not going to serve things. I don't care what y'all do. But as for me, I'm going to serve God. And we need to have that same type of attitude in our leading, in our homes, in our works, in our churches. We have to be prioritized. We have to have a right sense of priorities. And that starts with God. God has to be first, no matter what. Now, I'm not saying he has to be the first thing you think about, the first thing you talk to in the morning, but man, it helps. I can tell a difference in my spirit when I do that, and I can tell a difference when I don't. And just say a simple prayer, God, be with me today. And then after that comes your family, your wife first, and then your kids, your spouse first, and then your kids. Then everything else falls into line. Once you do that, you'd be surprised what happens to your relationships with people when you put the right priorities, like Joshua did. He said, we're going to serve God. We're going to make a choice. And we're not going to waver from it. We're going to stick to it. A question my wife's daycare, one of her kids asked why we don't watch certain shows. Because we don't enjoy them. Because they're things that we don't feel is a priority in our family. And we've made a choice. And I hope that you will have the right priorities as you see this. The last thing, and this was a principle God showed me about a couple years ago. Everything the Israelites did, whether they won or they lost, whether they were good or they weren't, they did it together. That's the last thing. Do it together. Find a group of people that you can live life together, that you can invest in each other, because it makes a difference. Y'all, 3 years ago, this would not have happened. This video probably would not be out there. I was hurt. I was worn out. I was tired. I was done with ministry. I was done with that. Been burned too many times. My heart was already kind of shutting down from that. But because I've been around people, and I've been around people who have invested in me, who have encouraged me, who have brought me back, who have, and through God's Spirit moving inside of me, I have a yearning again to speak God's word to people, to proclaim God's truth, to encourage people with His word. And I'm hoping that this hits somebody today. You have to get people around you who are not the people who are going to tell you what you want to hear, people who tell you what you need to hear. I have friends who would tell me, Ken, that's not right. And I love that. And I hope that y'all have that too. If not, you need to get it. You have to get it. So, 5 principles: boldness, obedience, invest, priorities, together. Okay? Those are five principles from the book of Joshua. Now, hopefully, over the next few weeks, I'm going to be bringing out some videos, chapter by chapter, of the book of Joshua. It's a really amazing book. It's a fun book because it has some history in it, it has some fun battle scenes in it, but it's also got some awesome real life principles that we need to go by. So I'd encourage y'all to, as much as I don't like plugging stuff, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be posting them as often as I can. My life's gonna get a little busier, thank goodness. Hopefully yours will too. But not too busy you can't get a little word. So hopefully y'all will check in next time. And thank y'all for listening.